Hi, everyone. Here's another short review session to help you review and prepare for the Q1 quarterly assessment. Remember, the quarterly assessment will be using SAT style questions to test your knowledge and skills. This review is in the reading realm of the SAT, and it's focusing on author's craft and structure, specifically words and context questions. Words and context questions test whether you can figure out the most precise meaning of a word or phrase based on how it is used in a passage. They do two things. Check your reading comprehension. You have to carefully read the surrounding text, the context, to see what the sentence is really saying. And they check your vocabulary skills. Instead of asking for a dictionary definition, they make you decide which word best matches the meaning and the tone of the passage. Today we'll learn what these questions look like, the strategies to answer them, and we'll practice step by step together. Words and context questions will ask you to select the most logical and precise word or phrase in a given context. They will specifically ask, which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? A precise word is one that means exactly what it should in a given situation. It will fit its sentence perfectly and reinforce the text's meaning. We're not just looking for a word that sounds right or looks good. Instead, we need to understand the text and select the word with the meaning that best matches the point the text is making. When attempting words and context questions, reading comprehension is just as important as our knowledge of vocabulary. To help us identify the best word in context, we should focus on three things: context, connotation, and restated meaning. Context refers to the specific scenario we're attempting to match a word or phrase to. To understand the context, we must read the provided text carefully. To determine the context, you can ask yourself questions like, who or what is the sentence mainly about? What is happening or being described? Or what is the main point the author wants me to understand here? Connotation refers to the feeling, tone, or emotional charge of a word beyond its dictionary definition, just like we've been discussing with our Q1 vocabulary words. Connotation helps us choose the word with the right shade of meaning. We can select the answer choice that carries that same emotional charge or feeling. Context tells us what the word must mean, but connotation tells me how the word should feel. Restated meaning, or restatement, refers to exactly what it sounds like. The author often repeats or rephrases meaning. The definition or sense of the word we're looking for is usually given a second time in another form through synonyms, contrasts, like antonyms, examples, or explanations within the text. We can use context clues to determine the context and the connotation and the meaning. Context clues are the hints or signals in the surrounding text that help us determine the context, feeling, and ultimately the meaning of an unfamiliar word. Using context clues, we can figure out what is going on in the passage, how the words are meant to feel, and then match the word we're looking for with the equivalent idea and feeling in the statement with the blank. In other words, context clues are the built-in evidence that writers provide us to help us unlock the most logical and precise meaning of a word. Let's work an example together, moving through the steps. Only the passage is listed here. I want to make sure that at first I only read the passage because I have a few things to figure out before I can jump to the answer choices. Let's read it together. In recommending Balfe's collection, Song I Sing, A librarian noted that pieces by the spoken word poet don't lose their blank nature when printed. The language has the same pleasant musical quality on the page as it does when performed by Fee. I know I need to determine the context, find emotionally charged words to determine the connotation or feeling of the passage, and then locate any restatement. First, I need to figure out the context. If I just ask, what is happening or being described, I can tell that this passage is about spoken word poetry that keeps its nature when it's printed. I also notice that a librarian is recommending this collection to others. The sentence suggests that even in print, the poems still keep a special quality. Next, I need to check the connotation of any emotional words that stand out. Before I move on past the blank, the word recommending stands out to me as a positive word. The librarian would not be recommending something unless they have had a positive experience with it. Then I notice the phrase, same pleasant musical quality. The word pleasant definitely lets me know that this passage has a positive vibe. This clarifies to me that the librarian likes this collection because it keeps the same pleasant musical quality when you're reading it in print as when you hear it when it's performed. This is why the collection is being recommended to others. Finally, as I look for evidence of restatement or repeated meaning, I notice a few things. The colon is often used to introduce information, so I think I should pay close attention to what comes after it. After the colon, it says, the language has the same pleasant musical quality on the page as it does when performed by Fee. I've already determined that this phrase has a positive connotation. Now I have a confirmation that this section is basically restating what the missing word means, the same pleasant musical quality. Here is the full question so you can get a feel for what it looks like. Notice there is a passage containing a blank, followed by the question, which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? I've already done my reading work. Now I need to examine each answer choice and eliminate or exclude any option that is not a precise answer. Remember, a precise word is one that means exactly what it should in a given situation. It will fit its sentence perfectly and reinforce the text's meaning. After I determine the context, then determine relevant connotations of emotional words, and finally check for evidence of restatement, I can go through each answer choice to see what best fits. I know that a librarian is recommending poetry that keeps the same pleasant musical nature when read as when it's performed. Let's go through each option by inserting them in the blank. A librarian noted that pieces by the spoken word poet don't lose their jarring nature when printed. This sounds negative, so I'm excluding it as an option. A librarian noted that pieces by the spoken word poet don't lose their scholarly nature when printed. This just doesn't fit because nothing is stated anywhere that the poetry is academic in nature. I'm excluding this one too. A librarian noted that pieces by the spoken word poet don't lose their melodic nature when printed. Now, this one seems to be the right answer because I know the passage mentions the word musical, which I associate with a melody, and melodic is the descriptive version of melody. But I haven't reviewed all of my options, so I'm going to mark a note in my head to come back to this one. A librarian noted that pieces by the spoken word poet don't lose their personal nature when printed. Again, nothing is mentioned in the passage that suggests that these poems are personal in nature. Nothing is mentioned about the poet's personality at all, so I'm excluding this one as well. Now I think we can feel confident in choosing our answer. The correct answer is C, melodic. The sentence explains that Balfi's poems keep the same pleasant musical quality on the page as when performed. The key context clue is musical quality. Of the options, only melodic directly connects to music and sound, making it the most logical and precise fit. The other choices either carry the wrong connotation, like A, jarring is negative, don't match the context, like B, nothing in the selection mentions scholarly or academic, or introduce an unrelated idea, like D. The poet's personality is a brand new idea and nothing personal about him is mentioned in the text. After ruling these out, we can confidently choose melodic. To recap, the strategy for determining the meaning of words in context has 3 steps, with a few sub-steps involved. First, read the passage only. Read carefully to determine the context of the passage, the emotionally charged words of the passage, or connotations, and locate any restatement or repeated meaning. Second, examine each answer choice and eliminate or exclude any option that is not a precise answer. Third, choose your answer with confidence. Now it's time for you to practice. Good luck.